The state of Utah goes 2-0 this weekend. Let's break it down right here on the Red, Royal, and Blue podcast. Welcome into the Red, Royal, and Blue podcast. On this episode, we're going to be breaking down Utah versus Wyoming and Utah State versus Air Force, and also looking forward to the matchups coming this weekend in the state of Utah. It was a great week of football. Can't wait to get into it. So with that, let's get into the recap. All right, let's get into the recap of these games. We'll start with the Utah Utes beating Wyoming 31-6. So this game, Utah kind of sleptwalked into this one. For the whole first half, there was not a ton of energy, not many big plays, not many points. Only scored 3 points in the first half. They attempted 4 field goals, and they kind of had the gauntlet of field goal outcomes here. They had a make, a miss, a doink off the upright, and a blocked field goal. So yeah, that's how they only scored 3 points in the first half. They, moved the ball pretty well, and they stalled out in Wyoming territory, and they had to kick field goals, and the field goals just weren't going in tonight. And Dylan Curtis, he's a true freshman kicker. So things like this are going to happen sometimes. I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll move on from this and have a great year. He has an absolute rocket of a leg. So I don't worry about that all that much. And it didn't end up hurting Utah in this one at all. So with that, let's dive into more of the offensive and defensive stats. Devin Dampierre, 27 for 41 for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions. You'd like to see the completion percentage higher than what it was. 27 for 41 is not great. But, again, didn't turn the ball over. That's a big thing. Make sure that you keep the ball safe. That's really the biggest thing right now, especially as a new quarterback into the team. Protect the ball, and things will be all right for you. Devin Dampierre led the rushing game with 13 carries and 86 yards, no touchdowns, followed by Wayshawn Parker, 10 carries for 80 yards. Hunter Andrews, 6 for 62 and a touchdown. Nakari Rogers, 13 for 60 and a touchdown. Nate Johnson, 1 for 16 and a lost fumble. And then Smith Snowden, 2 for 7, no touchdowns. All in all, they rushed for 311 yards. That's good. When a team can't really stop the run game, you're probably going to score a lot of points. And Utah did, just not until the second half. In the receiving game, Ryan Davis led with 10 receptions for 91 yards, followed by Dallin Bentley, 4 for 46. Hunter Andrews follows him, 5 for 44. And then Larry Simmons had a touchdown, and J.J. Buchanan had a touchdown as well. Like I said, Nate Johnson lost a fumble on his rush. Lander Barton recovered a fumble on the defensive side of the ball. Moving into the defense, the defense had 2 sacks and 2 TFLs. Nothing crazy out of the defense. They did have an interception. But, yeah, not a ton going on with the Utah defense. Just didn't give up points. So that's good. If you're not giving up points, you're doing something right on defense. You don't have to turn the ball over a ton to be a good defense. If you keep them out of the end zone, you're going to be all right. Moving into the Wyoming side, Caden Anderson went 12 for 23, 108 yards, and 1 interception. If you hold a team to 108 yards passing, you're probably going to win the game. That's just how it goes. And then they only rushed for 121. So, yeah, you give up 229 yards on the overall. You're probably going to be just fine. And Utah was. I said last episode, I didn't think this was ever really going to be a game, and it was um, until halftime. And then I think Utah kind of woke up. I think they might have gone into this game a little bit cocky, a little bit unprepared for Wyoming. But after the second half, I think Kyle Whittingham probably let him know that the product they were putting out there was unacceptable, and they turned it right around. So, yeah, that's the Utah game in a nutshell. Really, really slow first half, followed by an explosive second half of just 28 straight points. Utah did surrender a touchdown late in the game. Wyoming went for 2 and didn't get it, which gives you the score 31-6. Yeah, that's really it. One turnover on the Utah side, fumble, and then they got the interception as well. So, and a fumble that Lander Barton picked up. So they win the turnover battle. You win the turnover battle, and you have a good defense. You're gonna do pretty well. Yeah. Another thing about the kicking for Utah, there was no returns by Wyoming. Dylan Curtis put him through the end zone every single time with that monster leg of his. Moving on to Utah State. This game, wow, it was action-packed all the way through. I was not expecting this kind of game. I believe my prediction was 17-13, 17-10, something like that, and I was wrong, as the Utah State Aggies win 49-30 in this one. So, yeah, let's break it down. USU puts some points on the board first with a touchdown in the first quarter. Let's see. Bryson Barnes went 17 for 22 and 287. No interceptions, 2 touchdowns. That's going to be a big thing for Utah State this year. If they can protect the ball and protect the quarterback, I think they're going to do just fine this year. They should make a bowl game. Bronco Mendenhall should have them winning games. Javen Jacobs led the rushing game, 9 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown, followed by Miles Davis with 9 carries and 54 yards. And then Bryson Barnes, 15 rushes, 43 yards, and 3 touchdowns of his own. And then Anthony Garcia topped off the rushing scoring with 1 touchdown as well. Braden Pagan led the receiving, 7 receptions, 147 yards and 2 TDs. He was the primary target, and he was running all over Air Force in this one. They could not keep him at bay. Brady Boyd, 4 receptions, 72 yards, no touchdowns. The only receiving touchdowns were by Braden Pagan. So Utah State's defense recovered a fumble in this one. Had 2 sacks and 3 tackles for loss. They also had 2 interceptions, one by D'Angelo Mays and one by Noah Avinger. Yeah, that's always good when you have 3 turnovers in a game. It's probably going to help. Yeah, so Utah State scores in every quarter. Third quarter being the main damage doer. They scored 21 in the third quarter and only allowed 6. And this one, I was watching it, and it was just explosive touchdown after explosive touchdown after explosive touchdown. Like 50-yard bombs, 50-yard runs. Like it was insane how fast these points were going up. Yeah, Air Force. Josh Johnson led the passing, 5 for 9, 112 yards, no touchdowns and interception. Followed by Liam Zarka, 6 for 14, 67 yards and an interception. So both quarterbacks threw picks in this one. We knew that they were going to come out with multiple quarterbacks, and that's exactly what happened. They came out with a couple different quarterbacks, and Utah State was ready for them, I think. The rushing game, Cade Harris, 8 carries, 72 yards, no touchdowns. Owen Allen, 16 for 53 and a touchdown. Liam Zarka was really the guy for Air Force. 12 rushes, 40 yards, and 3 touchdowns of his own. Um, and then for the receiving game, Cade Harris led with 2 receptions for 63 yards. Trey Robinson, 3 for 51. Quinn Smith, 2 for 45. No receiving touchdowns for Air Force. All ran in. Um, Air Force did force 2 fumbles. Josh Johnson forced both of them. He fumbled it twice. Um, and they only lost it once. Um, let's see. Utah State, the O-line, we harp on it a lot. It's going to be a big deal this year. I think they've given up 6 sacks in each of their first 2 games. They only gave up 3 in this game and 5 tackles for loss. So, yeah, it's better. You still don't want to give up those sacks, but 3 is a lot better than 6. So that was an improvement. Yeah, this game was just exciting all the way through. A lot of scoring. Definitely not what I thought. I thought that it was going to be a ground and pound, pound the rock kind of game, and it wasn't. It wasn't that. I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong about that one. I definitely did not see 49-30 coming, as I predicted it was 17-13. I think is what I said. So, yeah, this game caught me by surprise. Utah State gets the win. They are 2-1 and 1-0 in conference play. Air Force falls to 1-1 and 0-1 in conference play. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. BYU is on a bye this week. So, yeah, not much to report on there, other than the fact that JoJo Phillips is likely out for the rest of the year. But, yeah, we'll see how this coming week goes. And that was the recap. All right, let's jump right into the previews for this coming week. We'll start off with BYU going on the road to East Carolina. That's going to be a 5:30 kick Utah time, I believe. But yeah, this one is going to be a hard game for the Cougars. Traveling 2 time zones is not easy. And ECU is a good squad. They're a good squad. They're going to air the ball out a lot. They are a air raid kind of team. Yeah, BYU is currently on ESPN is currently a 7.5 point favorite. Caden Hauser has had a great year throwing the ball. 973 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he's going to air the ball out, and he's going to keep it out of harm's way as well. Yeah, he's going to throw the ball. BYU is going to have to play good defense. They're going to have to get pressure on the quarterback. Because, like I said, this is not an easy game. I know East Carolina is not, P4, but traveling 2 time zones. And East Carolina, they have BYU's number. They're 2-0 against BYU in their last 2 matchups. Going back to 2017, I think it was 2017 and 2022. BYU has fallen to the East Carolina Pirates both times. Yeah, so this game opens at 7.5 in the favor of the Cougars. This is going to be the biggest test so far for this Cougar team, especially for Bear Bachmeier. East Carolina loves the blitz. They're going to bring a lot of pressure. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Bear to throw the ball, get rid of it quick, and they're going to try and make him rush through his progressions. He's going to have to be smart with the ball. Do not turn it over against this team. LJ Martin and Sione Moa are going to have to carry the load a lot in this one. They're going to have to run the ball effectively. And the O-line is going to have to create holes. They're going to have to create holes for these running backs, and they are going to they're going to have to give Bear Bachmeier some time in the pocket. East Carolina is 2-1. They barely lost to NC State at NC State to open the season. Then they destroyed Campbell 56-3, and then they shut out the other Carolina team, Coastal Carolina, 38-0 last week. So this is a defense that's stout, and they're gonna make things difficult for Bear Bachmeier. I'm hoping to see the playbook open up a little bit more in this one for Bear. I'm hoping that he will be able to really open it up and throw some balls down the field. Hopefully, with these blitz packages that ECU is going to bring, they're going to have some one-on-ones. Bear needs to look in Chase Roberts' direction if they're playing man coverage, because you cannot guard Chase Roberts one-on-one. So if they're going to leave him one-on-one, you need to find Chase and you need to put the ball in his hands. Throw it up and he will go and get it in one-on-one coverage. So look for Chase Roberts to be a big part of this game. And the run game is going to have to be good as well. Yeah, I think that BYU can win this game. I think they should win this game, but it's not going to be as easy as Portland State and Stanford were. I think they're going to have to play tough. They're going to have to play hard, and it's not going to be free. That's for sure. Moving on to Utah State versus McNeese. Utah State's back at home for this one. McNeese is 1-2. Let's look into this one a little bit. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with McNeese, to be honest. Let's take a look here. Their quarterback, Jake Strong, 798 yards this season, 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So he will turn the ball over if you give him the opportunity to. So he has a completion percentage of 62%. Like I said, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I would definitely bring pressure on him, put pressure on him, make it hard for him to make reads, and he will turn the ball over. So just play good defense and be ready to pick him off, because he's not gonna beat you over the top. He's not going to be super impressive with his reads. I think Utah State should have no problem in this game. McNeese is not a great football team. They lost to Weber barely, to a bad Weber State team, 42-41. They lost to Louisiana 34-10. And they beat LCU 54-9. So they'll score points. They score points, but they're definitely prone to turnovers. Again, Utah State's going to have to protect Bryson Barnes. I think if they can protect him, he's going to have no problem with this McNeese defense. Not a whole lot to say about this game. I think that Bryson Barnes is going to have a day. Miles Davis should go off, and Pagan should have a huge day as well. I'm not really worried about this game for Utah State in the slightest. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. My freshman year up at Utah State, I said that when Weber came to town, back when Jay Hill was the coach, and Weber thumped Utah State. So never be too confident, but I think that Utah State will be just fine. I think the biggest matchup of the weekend is definitely going to be Utah versus Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are coming to Salt Lake City. It's a 10 a.m. kick, so these players are going to be up early to get to the facility. I think this is the Big Noon kickoff game this week, so Big Noon will be there. The festivities will be on. I was at Big Noon last year when Arizona came to BYU. It's a great atmosphere. It's a lot of fun. It gets the fans really excited. Utah opens as a 3.5. Well, at open it was 4. They were a 4.5 point favorite. That is now shrunk to 3.5 points. This is going to be a tough test. We have number 17 going against number 16 here. Baron Morton. This year he's 57 for 81, 923 yards, 11 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. Devin Dampierre is 65 for 89, 620 yards, 7 touchdowns. He has not thrown any interceptions thus far. And Devin Dampier also leads the rushing game at Utah, 33 carries for 198 yards and a touchdown. Um, this is not going to be anything like any matchup that Utah has had so far. This Texas Tech team is legit. They are a stout team. Their defense is amazing. Um, in their 3 games so far, they've surrendered 7, 14, and 14. So, um, again, not the greatest competition. UAPB, Kent State, and Oregon State. Um, but they're keeping teams off the board, and they're scoring a lot of points. Um, through the first 3 games, they've scored 67, 62, and 45. Again, it's the same way for Texas Tech as it is for Utah. This Utah defense is leaps and bounds better than anything that Texas Tech has seen so far. But I think that this game is really going to show what Utah is. I don't think we really know, to be honest, what Utah is. And I don't think we really know what Texas Tech is either, if we're being completely honest about it. Um, neither team has played really anybody great. UCLA looks atrocious. Might be like the worst team in the Big Ten. Cal Poly is terrible in the FCS, and Wyoming is not good. We saw it on Saturday. So this is really the first test for both these teams. I think we're really going to find out what each team is and what their ceiling this year is going to be. We know that neither team has a low floor, given what they've done in the first 3 games. Both teams are definitely, I'd say at least 7, 8 win teams. And I think both can be 10 win teams as well. So I think this game is really going to come down to, can Texas Tech control Devin Dampier? If he can run the ball the way that he has been all year, I don't think Texas Tech has a chance in this game. What I do think Texas Tech has an advantage in is this game's at 10 a.m. This isn't a 8 p.m. kick at Rice-Eccles Stadium. This is a 10 a.m. kick. They don't have to sit around all day waiting for the game. They get to wake up, they get to head to the field, and they get to get going. I think that the atmosphere it's going to be a good atmosphere, given that Big Noon is going to be there. But I don't think it's going to be the same as it would be if it was a night game at Rice-Eccles. I think that this is going to be. I think it's probably going to be a defensive battle in this one, if we're being honest. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I think it's really going to come down to which defense gives up the big play that flips the game. So I think this is going to be a tough test. It's going to be the game of the weekend, kicking off Big 12 play against 2 contenders in the Big 12. A lot of people have these 2 playing each other in Arlington. So this is going to be a good one. And I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this one. It's always great to wake up in the morning on a Saturday and have a good game on right off the wake up. So yeah, that's the preview for you this coming week. And with that, let's get into the score prediction. All right, score prediction time. We'll kick it off with BYU versus East Carolina. I think this one's probably going to be a defensive battle as well. I don't think either team is going to put up a ton of points. My gut is saying 27-17 in favor of the Cougars. This BYU defense is amazing. So far, they are the most efficient defense in the country, 98% effective. And I know that BYU is a much better team than East Carolina, but just given the history with East Carolina, they've scarred me. To be honest, as a Cougar fan, it's scary seeing that pirate logo because they've beat us the past 2 times when we've been a better team than them, and we have to travel to their place. But I do think the Cougars get the win, 27-17. 17 Cougars. Moving on to McNeese at Utah State. I think Utah State's going to run away with this one. If we're being honest here, I don't think that Utah State's going to have a problem. Yeah, McNeese is not a good football team. They haven't been really ever. As long as Bryson Barnes has a clean pocket and he's not getting sacked every play, I don't see a way where McNeese really makes this a game. I'm going to go Utah State 35, McNeese 10. I think maybe 10 points might be generous, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think Utah State's going to have any issues here at all. So yeah, that's my prediction: 35-10, Utah State. Now, getting into this Utah game, I don't really know which way to go with this one, to be honest. We really don't know what both of these teams are going to look like against a formidable opponent. Neither team has played anybody great. Utah did have the slow start this past week. They handled business in the second half, but you cannot afford to come out slow against a team as good as Texas Tech. I know I'm a Utah, the State of Utah podcast. I think Utah gets upset here. As a 3.5 point favorite, I'm going to go Texas Tech 24. Texas Tech 24, Utah 21. I think it's going to come down to one big play. And I think that Texas Tech can control Devin Dampierre with the defense that they have. So that is my score prediction. Utah falling to Texas Tech 21-24. And that was the score predictions for this weekend. And with that, let's head to the outro. All right. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Red, Royal, and Blue podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss any uploads. I'm going to try and be more consistent on my schedule. I'm a little late on this upload, but I will try and make sure that I upload Wednesdays and Sundays from here on out. Thank you all so much for watching, and this has been the Red, Royal, and Blue podcast.